This is how I teach vibrato. Thanks for joining me here at Violin with Catherine. If you are a regular, thanks for watching and welcome on back. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe and the like button down below. Learn vibrato, you may have come across different terms like arm vibrato, wrist vibrato, finger vibrato. When I learned, I don't know what I learned. I just learned, and through my years of growing up and learning to play violin, I eventually knew how to do vibrato. And to be honest, when I started teaching vibrato, I was terrified. I didn't really know what to do. But I've talked to other people, other pedagogues, other violin teachers, and I've come up with a way that works for me, for my students. In terms of arm vibrato, wrist vibrato, finger vibrato, I guess mine's more of a finger vibrato. I actually found it very confusing, people talking about all these different styles. And when I was talking with a teacher about arm vibrato one time and I tried it out, and I was like, so is this arm vibrato? And they said, yeah, that's arm vibrato. And it was just exhausting. So I definitely don't think I do an arm vibrato. Like for me, that's like really, really big and inefficient is the word I like to use. I don't know. That's kind of weird. I also had an adult student who had learnt as an adult through previous teachers, and she really struggled with vibrato, and she had a teacher who was always telling her just to move her wrist. So she had this big thing going on with her wrist, but it wasn't translating into the finger at all. So there was like minimal movement happening at the tip of the finger, which is where we need it to actually vibrate, but all this effort going in over here. I don't know if I can demonstrate that, but so the way that I teach really focuses on the fingers. So the first thing that I get students to do is give your hands a stretch. Always good to do that. And then we're just going to make these little circles, like you can make little eyeglasses. What we want to make sure we're doing here is not this. We don't want to squish them out. So just gently, not squeezing them together tight, just nice and gently. So just with your thumb and your finger, just make a nice little circle with each finger. I'm doing it with both hands here. Obviously you can just do it with your left hand because that's our violin hand, but sometimes it's just good for the body just to coordinate on both hands as well. Doesn't help to develop a bit of dexterity for our bow hand anyway, so as you wish. So after that we're going to just do these little lengthen and pull back. Again, I want you to make sure that you don't end up with this squished kind of finger like this, okay? It's just a gentle movement, and all we're doing is developing some independence with each finger and flexibility. So the flexibility coming in this movement back to this rounded position. So we're really working on focusing on the lengthen out and then the coming back to this rounded position. So just going through each finger gently like that. And if it's a little bit tricky, don't do it fast. It's not a fast exercise. Like if this is too fast for you, you do it slower. The important thing is to actually get the technique. So just doing it fast and badly is pointless. In fact, it's probably having the opposite effect. So just take your time and just do this for a few days or a day or two or whatever you need, okay, if it's tricky. Don't even worry about the violin at all. When we do go to the violin, there's going to be no bow for a long time, or it depends on the student, but for a good while we're not putting the bow with it. So when we do go to the violin, we're now aiming on getting a similar kind of motion. Obviously we're not going to be touching our thumb. The thumb's going to be on the side of the fingerboard here. We're going to start on our A string. I find the A string the best string personally. You can play around with different strings if you want, and it's totally fine, and sometimes students might want to try a different string. But I just feel like E string tends to feel like you're going to fall off the side of the cliff. G string's a big reach over there, and if we can get the motion and the actual movement of vibrato right in the easiest position, it's going to be easier for us to translate it over to the other strings. So just start with that. Also, the second finger is the longest finger. It's nice and big and fat and squishy. For me, it's the easiest finger to do my vibrato. So start with the second finger if you choose. Okay, so I'm going to put my second finger on here first. We've got our thumb sitting where it normally sits. Make sure it's not up in some weird position. So just not far away from the first finger in this regards, across from here, not away from each other. We're going to put our second finger on, and we're going to do the same idea. Now, not squeezing really hard, but not, make sure you are touching the string. So we're going to bend, sorry, that wasn't right. So we're going to lengthen and curl, lengthen and curl. So it's the same idea as we were sort of doing here. We're lengthening out and then we're curling it back. Okay, I'll just do it with all the fingers. Lengthen and curl. You can do it with all the fingers, can't you? Lengthen and curl. So actually I'll start with my first finger. So we're going to lengthen and bring it back to this sort of rounded position here. Now the wrist, it's attached, so it's going to move. Make sure you're not actually doing this. This is a captain hook hand, okay? We don't want any hooks. So we're keeping that nice and flat. Make sure we're not up here pancaking. You're not going to be able to get any motion here. So make sure you've got your nice position. If you want to make sure that you've got a good position, stretch your fourth finger out over to the G string. Maybe give it a little pluck, something, just to make sure that your hand position is nice and flat through here and rounded. Okay, so we're going with the first finger. Lengthen and bring it back, lengthen and bring it back. Another good pointer here is to imagine you're trying to hit the pegs down here. So hit and bring it back, hit, and we're lengthening from the fingertip, the finger, and bringing it back. So we'll go through each finger, lengthen, bring it back. Another pointer is if the hand is hanging too low below the fingerboard here, that's going to make it really hard. So I would make sure that this line of where the finger joins to the hand, where the knuckles are, is actually sitting a little bit above the fingerboard, not below, yeah? So don't go crazy trying to get it really high like this. That's just a bit, over the top, but like literally over the top. But make sure it's not hanging down low like this. That's going to be really, really troublesome. So you're going to bring your elbow and everything under through here. So we're doing the second finger, we're lengthening and bringing it back. Make sure it doesn't lengthen and fall down. Try and keep a plane going straight this way, yeah, not going down or up, just kind of going back this way. So lengthen, and we're hitting that, we're actually hitting this peg, and that's good because that means that we're going in this direction, this plane. We're not going down or up or anything. So we'll do the third finger and then the fourth finger. So you would do each finger for, a little bit longer. It can be tiring for the arm, so make sure you have plenty of rests. The fourth finger. Now the fourth finger, I noticed as an adult that this is what I do. So I always tell students this is what I do. You have the option to do this or not do this. So I actually tend to put my third and fourth finger together because the fourth finger is like a little weakling, right? So that gives me more support in my vibrato. You don't have to do that. A lot of my students choose to just do the fourth finger by itself. It's totally fine, okay? So I'm going to put my 3 with my 4 because that's how I do it. And I'm going to lengthen and come back, okay? And you would just do this for like a week if you're doing it every day. Not like once in a week and then move on to the next step the next week. You've got to be doing that consistently every day. The thing about vibrato is it's a very physical thing. So it's like learning a sport. So if you wanted to learn to sprint, you're not going to like go to training once and become a good sprinter. You actually have to do it every day until the muscles actually learn the movement, and then they can just fire and do what they need to do, okay? So this is going to take a little while, and as you get better at it, then you can speed it up a little bit, not crazy fast yet. So we're still talking on the violin here. So a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. The next step is add the bow. Okay. When we add the bow, it is not about the sound at all. Okay, so do not be expecting a good sound. If you don't want to hear it, put a mute on your violin so you can't hear it very much. It's going to sound wobbly, and that's what we want, all right? The point here is to actually get the coordination of the bow going this way while the hand's doing this other wacky thing over here, all right? That coordination is the tricky part when we first start. So students will sometimes have real trouble actually doing the bow and keeping the movement going. So we're going to start with the movement, nice and steady and slow, and then we're going to put the bow, and we're going to focus on drawing the bow long and keeping the movement of the hand continuous. That is the key, keeping that hand consistent pace rather than wanting to stop here and here all the time. So if it's easier, you can do that the other way around. So you can start with the bow, maybe do a few slow bows so that your bow knows what it needs to do. We don't want it going lots of little bows, just a long sound, so you can long sustained bow. So you can just focus then on getting this hand to do this movement. So if you want to do a few of those and then put your finger in. And you'll go through each finger. Now this you will do for at least a week, maybe more. As we progress with this and we get more coordination, because yours may not look anything like that when you start. A lot of students don't even have that coordination when they begin this. It might take you a week just to get to something that's like that, or 2 weeks. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, as long as you do it consistently every day. Just spend 5 minutes doing your vibrato practice each day. So then after that, we're just going to very gently start to increase the speed of our finger movement. So if we're going this speed, I'm going to go a little bit faster. And do that for another week or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever you need to do, okay? And then we can gradually, as you're going through the weeks, if you're practicing regularly and doing the exercises as I've set them through here, you want to be developing, like I said before, a consistent movement, not this kind of stop-start. You want the same oscillation in your movement, like the same, like the, not the, you want it to be the same frequency of the finger movement, right? Using some words that sound scientific, but they're not. Okay. Actually forgot to mention at the beginning, and you don't have to do this. It doesn't actually matter where you sit on here. I did mention the A string is a nice one, and I do like it, and I do recommend that. But if you want to try some other strings, especially the D string might be fine for you. But we can also move up a little bit. So you might think third position. but honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the note is at all, at all. So you just want to get the movement, and if that's annoying or a bit hard for you to get the motion, move up a little bit where you're not actually going to hit it. You're just going to try to hit those pegs. That's actually really a good position. Just like second or third position is actually really good, a really good place to start with that movement. So that's how I teach vibrato. As I said, it doesn't happen overnight. You really have to be consistent with it and just practice the movements every day, just for a few minutes. But it will come, all right? So don't stress too much. I will also put in the little disclaimer, if you are a complete beginner, don't try and do vibrato, okay? It is not the most important thing, and it's just going to sound wobbly and funny. It is way more important that you actually learn where to put your fingers and the sounds of the tones and semitones, and actually making the sounds of the notes, because if you have really out of tune notes and then you're trying to put this wobble over it, it's not going to sound like music, and your aim is to make music, right? So yes, I understand if you want to do vibrato, but enjoy the whole process of your learning, okay? You can start, maybe if you're a beginner, start with some of these simple motions so that when you really are ready to put vibrato in with your notes, you've got it already going there, okay? But it is not the most important thing, and like I said, just enjoy the process of learning, and you'll have that to look forward to when you get there. If you have enjoyed this video, got any value out of it, please make sure you hit the like button down below. Let me know in the comments how you're going with your vibrato. If you would like some free sheet music, if you would like my free ebook, or if you would like to join my Facebook group, Violin Learners Connect and Grow, the links to all of those are in the description right down below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.